No, after all of that, lads, this is the Chalice Tree. It's a sycamore as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And at a certain time of the year, usually like when it's in flower around the end of May, beginning of June, it's supposed to resemble the elevation of the host. The Monkeith Chalice is what brought us up here, because we're on the O'Keefe Clan Rally. There's a tradition here in Newmarket that in penal times that there were 2 priests murdered here. There was a little village down there, and the stories vary. Some people say that they were saying mass when the redcoats came on them unexpectedly, and another story is that they were in bed asleep, and so was the fellow who was supposed to be watching out. One of them was a Father Gallivan, and the other is unknown. His name is not known. Some say he was from Kerry, and others say he was from Limerick. Now, during the penal laws, at the time of the penal laws, there wasn't any great objection to local parochial clergy. What they were very, very much afraid of were friars from across the seas, because the friars were usually of one of the richer families. They would have been related to the O'Keefes, to the chieftains, to the O'Callaghan's. I had one story about this place that will tell you what Mr. Allworth in Newmarket had to put up with. He was on his way to him. He wrote, it is actually the letter, I read it in the letter. He wrote to the Lord Lieutenant, I think it was, complaining. He was always complaining, but he needed more help. He was in an outpost here. The nearest bit of civilization, as far as he was concerned, would have been in Castle Island, which would be maybe 20 miles away as the crow flies. But when he was on his way to Limerick, about 2 or 3 miles from the town, he passed through this village, and there was a crowd of people here. He said there might have been up to 1,000 men. He said the O'Keefe was there, and the McAuliffe, and O'Callaghan, and he said 2 brothers of O'Callaghan's who were friars from across the sea. And he was very upset about it, and he wanted more help to sort of keep the thing under control. But they were called to account anyway, and they were taken into some court or to some other place like that, or wherever you would be called to account. And the reason that they gave for being there was that they had met by accident. It was just a chance meeting, that they were just passing through. So to tell you what respect they had for law and order and things. But the other priest, I was often wondering, was there any friends? If you stand in under the tree there, there's a little bit of shelter. Yeah. But according to the story anyway, the 2 priests, whether they were asleep or whether they were saying mass, they were either hung off of this tree or bayoneted to death. They're the 2 versions of the story that I had. Now the other version of it was that the chalice that they were using was the Monkeith Chalice. This was the chalice that was made in 1590, and that the chalice had been hidden, that it was hidden in a hole, and that the tree grew out of the place where the chalice was hidden. Which isn't true either, because the chalice has turned up in the meantime, and it's definitely not under that tree. There may be another one under it. But to try and unravel the folklore around the thing, you know, whether they were asleep or whether they were not asleep, or was there 2 priests or 1 priest, and who was the other priest, and did they bury the chalice? Did they have the chalice at all? Because if you take it, say that in 1590 the penal laws would be just beginning, and they mightn't have been enforced as much, and they probably added on a few other ones as the time progressed. But from around that time, from around the time of the Earl of Desmond's rebellion until the late 1700s, the penal laws were in force, and as I say, there wasn't any great objection to mass being said. Now there were some restrictions. I think if they were going to build a church, it would have to be built of wood, and there were other restrictions as well. They weren't allowed any education. You couldn't own a horse worth more than £5, and you definitely couldn't own a firearm. You couldn't be a member of Parliament. You had no vote. There were lots of other things there, but that chalice in 1590 would be just, just at the time of the Reformation, really. The whole purpose of the penal laws was to change the religion of the country, to change the religion from Catholicism to Protestantism. I'd say that was the main drive behind it. So maybe there wasn't a whole lot of use for that Moncrief chalice when it was made in 1590, and maybe it remained in the possession of the O'Keeffes in Cullen, where it was supposed to have been made, and that it remained on with them as a family heirloom, and was brought to Newmarket when Charles O'Keeffe was coming to Newmarket. And as far as I know, he wasn't doing so well at all at that stage. I think he had lost a lot of money, and he wasn't in a very sound financial footing. And would it be possible that before he died that he sold it to Robert Day in Cork? And another mystery about the thing is that Robert Day had several chalices. He wrote about 200 articles in the Cork Archaeological and Historical magazine, and among them I'd say about 8 or 9 papers on different chalices that he had. And he never wrote about the Moncrief chalice, which was the oldest one of them all. It is an absolute mystery, but whether or not it was here when the 2 priests were murdered or not is highly debatable, I'd say. I mean, the soldiers that murdered them were supposed to have looted what they had. They took all the vestments and any other church goods that were there, and among the stuff that they took was the chalice. Now, what became of the chalice after that? I mean, that must have been at the time of some trouble, because otherwise I don't think they'd have bothered people saying Mass or anything like that. It may have been during the Cromwellian period or something like that, maybe in the 1640s. And like, what did they do with it, those soldiers? Did they give it to their commanding officer, and did he give it to someone else? There's no trace of it. All that we know is it was made in 1590, and it had turned up in the possession of Robert Day. When he died in 1914, his stuff was auctioned off in 1916, and it was bought by the Purcells of Churchtown, and they inscribed the Moncrief chalice on it. And in 1929, one of the Purcells donated it to the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and that's where it is today. If any of you are in London, any of the V&A, walk in and you can see it. It will be on display. It's on display most of it. Oh, no, it wasn't there the day that I called in, but maybe I missed it. But that's the story of the Moncrief chalice, and I've told you another story there, and I'm very slow to do things like that because I might be creating another myth. I obviously am. I mean, but trying to remove the folklore and the history, and there's very little of any of the two of them there. When you do that, you finish up with nothing, and you're just maybe surmising yourself about what might have happened. But that would be my best guess, that it actually remained in the possession of the O'Keeffes. And as we know, shortly after 1700, Charles O'Keeffe came to Newmarket, and he had brought it with him. There are more questions there than answers, I'm afraid, lads. But this tree was supposed to be the spot where either where the priests were being at his death, where they were hung, or where they buried the chalice. And it has been known ever since as the Chalice Tree. And Seamus was telling me that he wouldn't go near it. He said that it was damaged a bit there, and Hurricane Darwin knocked a few branches off of it, but he said he just would be very slow about even cutting up a bit. He said the branches that fell off, he cut them up and they're thrown into a dike, and he wouldn't even take them home and burn them. It is a revered tree, and the 2 priests are buried just below, in that field below there. If it stopped raining, maybe we might walk down and just see where they are, and we'll say a prayer for them or something. I don't know how old that tree is. You'll have to cut it really to find out, but it must be old. I mean, very seldom you'll see a sycamore that size, isn't it? It is a huge old tree. The local anthem adds another little bit of a mystery to it. We have an anthem in Newmarket called Up Newmarket. Said the exiles, and up Newmarket say we all, or something. But there's a verse in it that goes, "'Twas after '98 when the croppies were all bait, that the white boys made their stand on Scatteen Hill. 3 brave priests were martyred there, and their last words were a prayer for the land that they loved best, and we love still. There's our local anthem, and it goes up Newmarket after that. But there are 3 brave priests martyred in that one, but we only know the name of one, and apparently there were only 2. But that song was written back in the early 1900s by a man that had immigrated from here, and I'd say he just had, like all of us, he just had bits of old folklore and things like that. But will we walk down to see the grave? Yeah.